Hello and welcome to Brobot Dialogues, a series of panel discussions where we deep dive into different aspects of the auto industry. The topic for today's discussion is winning the trust of the customer. Now, that's easier said than done because it takes years, if not decades, of hard work for a brand to win customers over. And to talk about this, we have a very eminent panel, which I'd like to introduce. From the manufacturer side, we have Rajesh Goel, the Senior Vice President and Director for Marketing and Sales for Honda Cars India. We have Zac Hollis, the Brand Director for Skoda India, again, Service Marketing and Sales. From the dealer side, we have Sanjay Thakker, the Chairman of the Landmark Group. And talking to us about how insurance can play a role with customers is Ramesh Babu, the Head of OEM and Automotive Alliances at Reliance General Insurance. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. And I'd like to start off straight with Zac Hollis. Zac, winning the customer over. Now, I think this is something you have worked very, very hard on, and sometimes to even compensate for certain legacy issues. Just wanted to get opening remarks from your side because sense one gets is that winning trust is sometimes even more important than the product itself.
I think winning trust is the most important thing that a brand has to have from its customers. People are buying an expensive a car, as we know, is probably the second biggest thing that a customer will buy. Often it's their most important thing that they've bought in their life, and there has to be a relationship of trust between the brand that goes down to the dealer and then ultimately to the manufacturer. So we make trust here by building the right relationship with customers, by satisfying the customers, with engaging with the customers, and by creating an ownership experience which is pleasant and happy. And the most important reason we're doing that at the end of the day is to get loyalty and to get referrals and to build the brand.
If you allow me to take a digestion, I'm wearing a new shirt for your panel today, and I'm very fidgety because I'm not very happy with the fit. And the point that I'm trying to make is, for a simple thing like a shirt, I always go to a particular brand to pick up a size because I know for that brand, that size, that fit, I will never have a problem. And that's my trust for that brand. I'm not naming the brand, right? So that is what we need to. Car, of course, like Zac said, is still the second biggest purchase for a customer in his lifetime, and therefore we need to deliver to the promise. Honda and City are like synonymous with each other, and that's what the trust is. The reliability, the quality that is built in, and the technology that we stand for, and the power of dreams that you see at the back. And of course, it is about the product and it is about the experience that you deliver, which is what comes along with it. But with the City, we have had to keep working with every every successive generation with the product and with the customer experience at each touch point, going back to them with multiple initiatives for them to be able to appreciate the brand, to be able to trust the brand, and to be able to have the trust keep growing, so that they are able to they become our advocates as we go forward.
Right. And, I think this neatly dovetails into Sanjay. Obviously, you've got a lot of Honda dealerships. You've got other dealerships as well. You must be getting a sense of, let's say, how important, winning the customer is, even from a brand perspective. I mean, I'm sure you can get a different kind of perspective on this.
Again, I'll take on from where Goel-san left. So as a dealer, to retain a customer, there is a customer life cycle that we need to maintain. So it's not only the sale of cars, but it is also the insurance, as we have Ramesh over here. We have the after sales, we have the extended warranties, and a lot of other products, used cars, upgrades. So the brand loyalty is something that I see in India, an evolving kind of a thing. The point I'd like to make over here is that the Indian consumer is willing to experiment with brands. That's what I have seen on ground. As Goel-san said, yes, Honda is synonymous for City. It is synonymous with reliability. But customers are willing to experiment today, and the job for everybody becomes all that more difficult. That's the point I can make at this point.
Right. I'll come back to this point on, customers are willing to experiment, but I just wanted to get, final panelist Ramesh Babu in, because again, insurance companies play a critical role in winning customers' trust. And, though you don't interface with customers, there are instances during calamities like floods and situations like that, when insurance companies play a big role.
So for the matter of fact, we have the lowest complaint ratio in the industry for last 36 quarters. A regulator tracks these scores on a regular basis, quarterly basis. We are the lowest for the 36 months, also shows the customers' trust and even the OEM's trust in us. And especially as you mentioned today, floods, calamities, heavy rains have become very, very common in India. And we have a disaster management team which is completely trained, the specific dedicated resources, and they have their own equipment to reach out these places in quickly in time. Also, what do we do from claim intimation to claim assessment to document submission to even settling the claim is much faster compared to the normal scenario.
I just want to move on from this and, talking about keeping the customer engaged, keeping him satisfied throughout the life cycle of the vehicle. Okay, he's bought a product and, Skoda is coming out with a very exciting range of products. But, things like in service, the fill rate, again, insurance claims, making sure that they happen very quickly. Where do you think, work needs to be done? And what do you think is the next step? Because customers today are very demanding. They want a lot more. What areas do you think you see going forward where, the trust factor is very critical and dependent on?
You talked there about two things. You talked about customer satisfaction and you talked about engagement. And I think you're right. I think customers' expectations are much higher in terms of what they expect from their ownership experience. If you go back many years, you could delight a customer by washing his car properly inside and out. That is no longer customer delight. That is now customer expectation. And therefore, you have to do it to create satisfaction. What we've got to do now as manufacturers, and what we're also working on in Skoda, is how do you take this from customer satisfaction to customer delight? Because I'll give you an example. If you get your car serviced and it comes out, it's clean, the job is done as you'd expect, the price is reasonable in line with what you expect, and it's done timely, then you're satisfied. But you're not delighted. So what we've got to work on here, and what we're working on, is method. How do you delight that customer? And it might be that, for example, the customer has a few scratches on one panel and you polish those out for him. Or it could be that you've left his alloy wheels absolutely sparkling. And I think, so what we've got working on with the whole team and with the dealers is, how do you create customer delight? Because you need him to go home, and you need him to talk about that experience. The one thing I find is that our customers are my biggest internal auditors. That's what I basically call them. Because I get a lot of feedback from customers. As you know, Hormazd, I engage with customers regularly through social media. On Twitter and on Facebook groups. And I like doing that because I get that. Firstly, I think Indian customers like to feel that they've escalated and they're talking to someone who take their issue on. And secondly, they are my internal auditors. I'll give you one example. Recently, we launched an approved used car program. And the feedback I got from customers was what the website could do with improving. It wasn't up to the kind of standard they expect. So we took it down, we worked on it, and we relaunched it. And I think then this is what I get a lot. And I can also deal with individual dealers that way because I get feedback. And I think the feedback is important.
I agree with your point that it does require a personal touch, because ultimately it's coming back to the point, it's the second biggest purchase in the lifetime of a customer. And the relationship doesn't end with the sale of a car. It starts from there. And that's when you start kind of building the relationship for many more purchases, for referrals, for repurchases, etc. And in order for that relationship to be nice, positive, and happy, a personal touch is always required.
So there is a physical touch and there is a technological requirement. So the word which has been coined by several other industries is the word phygital. So a kind of a physical touch aided by digitization, by technology. Now this is something which is the need of the hour. My personal and our organization's personal belief is that one will have to significantly invest in technology. And that's the reason why we have kind of come up with, which will be launched soon, one landmark app, which will take care of customers' every need. The newer generation, for one, my son, my daughter, they are all on text. They don't maybe use voice calls at all. So this is something we will, chatbots is what we have kind of invested in. As we speak today, we got on board a very senior CTO for the group. So the way ahead is basically a phygital approach.
Coming to you, Ramesh, you just taking off from what Sanjay had said, looking at apps, phygital kind of an experience. Insurance, it's so, it's something taken for granted, not something even customers focus on. So, are there any new products and services y'all are developing on this front, to kind of make that even a slight differentiator in the whole car ownership life cycle?
Yeah. Thanks to Rajesh san and Sanjay sir, where they mentioned about physical and the human touch. Basically, if you look at our the Brobot or Muscat, so that clearly says no tech plus heart. So coming to technology, Reliance is actually known for its technology in all aspects, whether it is an agent, a broker, a customer directly coming to us, all the OEMs. The customer interface is in the sense very simple and easy for them to get in touch with us. And we have certain apps like Selfie is an app, and we have an app called Sampurna in the sense garage portal, and we have video streaming. So taking forward from what Rajesh sir said and Mr. Jack and everybody mentioned, even during COVID also, I think we are the first company to open our offices and we are the first one to be in the market because we go beyond digital. Digital is already in the place, but then personally going and meeting our partners, giving them the confidence that we are there. Any situation, whether it is a service issue or any claim issue, any issue, we are there. So we have something called video streaming, which brings in a lot of transparency, also empowerment to our channel partners. So basically, whenever there is a claim, the customer wants a very fair and fast response to him, and even the claim settlement process. So this video streaming we brought into this country with the help of Mercedes-Benz, and where they are expecting, their customers do not want to wait on a Saturday evening, late evening, for a surveyor to come. So this is clearly the OEMs also helped us to step up our service levels. The video streaming today takes care of assessment of the claim, where each of these players like Skoda, we are at 79% penetration, with Honda almost 76 percent penetration, and with Mercedes Benz 86 percent penetration.
I think the one beautiful part about technology is it cuts out human error. It cuts out human, any biases. There's a lot of transparency in it. Do you think the way forward is to use technology more and more to kind of win that trust?
I think you're right. I mean, technology does play a role, and the good thing is now that some of the technologies that are being rolled out actually making it can really help us in managing that customer experience and developing trust. And I think in a way, the automotive industry is probably behind the rest of the world in terms of that kind of technology. So technology can certainly help in making sure the databases and CRM managements and things like that are concerned. When it comes to Skoda and what we are doing, I mean, of course, we are bringing connectivity to cars like all manufacturers are. And we also have the My Skoda app at the moment, which means you can book a service appointment directly with the app. Because many people, particularly younger customers, they're not into calling people up anymore. They want to do things through text. They want to do things by app. And we have to allow them to actually do that in the future. So connectivity in cars is one way where we will improve the customer experience, and also being connected directly to us and connected directly to the dealer can help too.
That's interesting, Zach. And I think Skoda's known for their robustness, their solidity, all the engineering behind it. But clearly, today's Instagram age of customers and wanting connectivity, you need to have sort of basics like connectivity, transparency, which goes beyond the car as part of hygiene. And Goel-san, I want to turn to you for that. Even with the city, you've got the now Alexa in it. Again, it's connected. Is that a way of kind of again winning the customer? It's not really linked that much to the car, but it's just a service and a feeling of being connected, which kind of in a way gives that level of trust.
Yes, so interesting point. So, coming back to the point of technology, I think if I were to kind of oversimplify things, we try and use technology on three fronts. Number one is on the product front. Number two is on the front where people are supposed to engage with customers and how technology helps them to engage warmly, correctly, and timely. And number three is the actual engagement. Sanjay Bhai mentioned that his kids only text. So a lot of people today just don't want to type things. They just want to say something and get it done. And that's what Alexa allows you. But it also allows our customer and us to connect with the customer on multiple fronts to figure out what he's wanting, what he's not wanting, and to also figure out what are his habits, etc., which help us to make our cars better as we go forward. On the second aspect, which is to make our processes better, Zach talked about CRM. So, customer, I think the most irritating thing about a customer is when he calls up and he gets a feeling that he's a stranger. I think that can be the worst thing. And today, technology allows for a person to be there on the other side to uh, talk to the customer as if he knows him like the back of his palm. And that is what increases engagement, increases warmth, and the customer feels that he belongs to, say, the Honda family. And the third is the actual engagement with the customer in terms of when I say technology, exactly how you are interacting with the customer. That there is technology in terms of what his needs are, going back and finding out whether his requirements from the product are getting fulfilled or not. What are things that we can do to improve every subsequent time, and so on and so forth.
Technology is quite emotionless, faceless, but Sanjay, would be interesting to know, what are you hearing from customers today?
Yes, Hormuz. Maybe I'll, before answering this, go back to what Goel san said, and I kind of support his kind of assessment and share his views. The thing is that there is possibly a need of a kind of a community, a kind of a club, a kind of a, because the brands are evolving, and on retail front, I see that the hardcore brand loyalty as it has possibly got inculcated and cultivated in the Western world is still some time away over here, and we need to kind of build it more solidly. There is huge amount of data which is sitting on our servers, whether it is the manufacturer's server or it is the dealership server. We have immense amount of behavioral pattern available. Are we making use of it? Zilch. If you ask me, we haven't touched the tip of the iceberg. So this is the kind of a white space which needs to be covered fast for everybody's benefit and for the brands to retain their own customers. This is something that they should make, the dealers should help out. It should be a joint kind of an endeavor, and this is something we and at least at Group Landmark we have realized this, and we are making efforts to plug this gap.
Right. Interesting, Sanjay. You spoke about data, and we're not even touching the tip of the iceberg. Very quickly, Ramesh, data. Now, that's something y'all have in abundance. Just given so I would imagine that that's something. Have y'all leveraged it? Do you think that's the next step forward in kind of offering really bespoke services to customers? Depending on the data you have.
Yeah, definitely. As sir mentioned, like today we have huge data, and we seriously not using it to reach the customers now and offer them the customized services. So we have realized during pandemic when we started calling, especially two-wheeler customers, we thought they will not use digital platforms to pay the money premium. But then surprisingly, it is more than 95% of the people started using all kinds of digital platforms, whether it is Phone Pay or Google Pay or anything that you give them. And another thing that I would like to mention is like second thing for us, the customer contact is not only at the point of there is a claim, but we are trying to use because dealership is one such touch point for us to meet the customers, to reach the customers. We do a lot of customer engagement programs through dealerships, especially in commercial vehicle space. When we speak to the summers or most of these customers during retention calling, we also get to know what is their expectations, what kind of products they're expecting from insurance, whether it is an EMI product or some people are asking like no EMI buy a policy, and what kind of better services. Like a lot of people still don't know that video streaming is one of the major digital initiatives or technology initiative which can bring in transparency, and their vehicle is assured of great service or best service kind of thing. So data definitely long way to go.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think taking customer to the next trust to the next level is super important. But finally, I want to just wrap up with one point. To understand, and this is quite a debate because we've seen instances of both sides in India. The fact that we are still quite a young automotive market. The question is: does brand drive the product, or does product drive the brand?
I think if you look at a historical brand like Skoda that's 125 years old, the brand is sacrosanct. The brand is the most important thing you have as a manufacturer. The brand is what commands value in your product. The brand is what actually ultimately drives your profitability. You've only got to look at the average profitability on a Porsche compared to a Skoda, and you know it comes from brand. So the brand is ultimate. And what you've got to do with your product is to make sure that you are living up to your brand. So we are in India, in Skoda, we have a brand that's perceived as being as value luxury. This is what the people are telling me in India from the day I arrived. And, that's why we will always bring to the Indian market high quality cars, safe cars, well-designed cars, efficient cars, and value for money. If your product doesn't support that, then you can actually damage your brand. And that's the worst thing you can do. So, there'll be certain segments that Skoda will never enter into, because at the end of the day, they're not for our brand. We have to maintain what is core about our brand going forward. So to answer your question, I think the brand comes first. The product must follow the brand. But of course, there have been occasions in the past almost when the product has defined the brand. If I go back to when the Octavia and the Laura were introduced in India, they actually defined the brand.
I think it's a two-way street. It's not a one, whether the brand comes first or the product comes first. I think it's a little bit of one to the other. But and you define your brand by a set of products, and that is what then you kind of ensure that a customer becomes used to expecting from your brand, and then you deliver on that brand promise purely, not purely by the product but by service, by engagement, and so many other factors, and that in its entirety becomes what your brand stands for, or what the customer can expect when he is planning to go in for your brand.
The Indian customers are willing to experiment. I'm a firm believer of the point that people are good if the product is looking good, running well, is fairly priced, then people will give it a chance. The brand.
So then you're saying the product drives the brand in that sense.
I am saying from a retail point of view, my view is more towards the product driving the brand. So my view is that the product would help define a brand, and it would help modify the brand positioning in India, depending on how well the product does.
Right. I just like to quickly jump to Zac. Two interesting things from Skoda's point of view. It's quite interesting. You've got a brand, but yet you're going into India 2.0, which is a little bit of a reboot of things as well. So it's a bit of a unique kind of a situation. Great opportunity as well. So how do you relate to what Sanjay is saying, that the product does drive the brand to a certain of something like the Kushak, which is really just tailored for what the customer wants?
I think what we will have with Kushak is something that follows what is core for the brand and what the brand is about. We will deliver a safe car, a high quality car. We will deliver value for money. We will deliver driving experience, which is what the brand has been famous for the last 20 years in India. So we will deliver all that. But of course, what we're doing as part of India 2.0 is we will massively grow. And to grow, we need to be in the growing segments in India, which is the compact mid-sized SUV segment. So without doubt, the product we are bringing to the marketplace will reflect our brand in every way and not compromise it.
Ramesh, turning to you, completely different sector altogether, as we know, but something like insurance, which very frankly is seen as a commodity, can it ever become a brand? Can insurance ever become a brand which kind of differentiates it from other, let's say, players?
See, today, yes, it can become. To large extent in OEM space, OEMs normally bring in uniformity among all the insurance companies with some SLAs and kind of thing. So yes, we have to stick to those basic expectation, but there is always an ample chances of going beyond that and bringing in something on your own. Reliance General Insurance is known for technology, known for very fast response to any of the new changes, either by the regulator or by the OEM. In terms of product improvement or technological changes, we are one of those best, or probably we are the best in terms of responding and giving them the solution. So it is not only the normal expectations of basic hygiene of what customer thinks, but going beyond that. So definitely insurance space also, you can build your own brand with your some of these factors like technology and customer centricity, and you can keep on improvising that. I think we're in the process of that.
Thanks very much. I think, with that, we'll wrap this session. And clearly, I think the takeaways are that you have to go beyond certain expectations are right now hygiene. Customers expect that. So to win the trust of the customer, I think it's really going even beyond the product, beyond what is currently
Yes.
being done. I think technology, transparency plays a key role in that. Thanks, gentlemen, for a very enriching discussion. And wish all of you all the best 2021. Thanks once again, and all the best. Thank you.